After 12 years of running my father's company, I finally built it into a $75 million empire. At a family dinner meant to celebrate that success, my father turned to me, smiling, and said the words that would gut me. "Your brother will take over now." My heart sank, but I smiled. The next morning, everything changed. I still remember how he looked that night, his hand resting proudly on Ethan's shoulder like the decision had always been made, long before the words left his mouth. He said it once. That was all it took to dismantle 12 years of sacrifice, strategy, and sleepless nights. But I didn't flinch. I smiled like it didn't pierce straight through me. Around the table, glasses clinked. Conversations buzzed. No one noticed the quiet unraveling behind my eyes. This wasn't just dinner. It was a coronation, a betrayal, dressed in celebration. My father had started Harper & Company when I was a kid, a modest logistics firm that barely kept the lights on. I grew up watching him grind, late nights, missed vacations, all for one more contract to survive. At 24, fresh out of business school, I begged him to let me in. He finally did, and I didn't just step in, I transformed the company from a struggling regional firm to a national powerhouse. $1 million contracts, cutting-edge tech, $75 million in valuation, and none of it mattered, not to him. Because in the end, it wasn't about results. It was about legacy. And in his eyes, legacy meant a son's name on the door, Ethan. My brother. The same Ethan who bounced from one failed venture to the next for a decade. The same Ethan who didn't know the difference between a bill of lading and a balance sheet. But he knew how to smile at the right moments, how to play the role. And my father? He fell for it. The murmurs of congratulations rippled down the table toward Ethan. He dropped his gaze in false humility, but I saw it. The smirk. The satisfaction. He wasn't surprised. He'd been waiting for this. He'd orchestrated it. But what neither of them knew was this. I didn't spend 12 years building a company. I spent 12 years fortifying my position within it. By 3 a.m. that night, I was in my home office. No tears, no rage, just resolve. Every contract, every clause, every share agreement. I knew this company better than anyone. Better than they ever would. Ethan thought he'd be handed the keys. He didn't realize I'd already changed the locks. At exactly 8:45 a.m., I walked into Harper & Company HQ like I had every morning for 12 years. Same polished floors, same hum of routine. Only this time. I wasn't walking into an office. I was walking onto a battlefield. The air was thick with whispers. The news had traveled fast. I ignored their glances, walked tall, never let them see you shaken. I entered my office, and shut the door behind me. 15 minutes. That's all I had before they'd arrive, ready to take their thrones. And 15 minutes was all I needed to make everything they planned fall apart. I sat down, took a deep breath, and powered on my computer. The screen glowed with contracts they never thought to check. Agreements they didn't know existed. Control they never knew I had. Let the games begin. I straightened my shoulders and looked him in the eye. You never thought I'd do this because you never thought I could. The silence that followed was heavy. Ethan was still rooted in place, jaw clenched, holding that paper like it might dissolve in his hand if he just wished hard enough. My father stared at me, not with anger anymore, but something closer to realization, maybe even regret. But it was too late. You have until the end of the day to decide, I said, my tone final. Either stay and work under my leadership, or take the buyout. But this company moves forward with or without you. I turned my back to them then, not out of disrespect, but to show them that I wasn't afraid anymore. I was done playing their game. This was my game now. My company. The door stayed open behind me as they left, silence replacing their fading footsteps. I stood there for a moment, alone in the office I'd earned 100 times over. This wasn't revenge. This was justice. Want help polishing this up more? It's already cinematic, but I can tweak it into a tighter monologue or pitch-perfect scene if you're planning to use it in something specific. 1. Strong narrative voice. The protagonist's tone is sharp, focused, and unflinching, very compelling. There's vulnerability under the surface, but it doesn't make her weak. It makes her human. 2. Tension and pacing. You maintain tension beautifully. The family drama bleeding into boardroom politics gives the whole piece a personal but high stakes feel, like Succession with a singularly driven protagonist. 3. Clear turning point. The emergency executive meeting is a power move that flips the situation from reactive to proactive. It's satisfying. The reader sees her wrest control back. Potential edits or expansions. 1. Clarify setting. Transitions slightly. You switch from introspection in the office to the next morning and then the boardroom pretty quickly. A line or two easing us into those time jumps could help the rhythm. 2. Consider tightening some of the repetition. There are a few areas where phrases like, over the last 5 years, or under my leadership, are repeated close together. Not a major issue, but cutting or rephrasing a little could make the prose crisper. 3. Develop the father-Ethan dynamic. More. You hint at some juicy backstory. What exactly was Ethan promised? Did the father build the company and expect a legacy? Was she ever given a chance before? Adding a few subtle flashbacks or references could enrich this. Optional add-on ideas. You could follow up with a secret ally revealing themselves right. After the meeting, a wildcard board member or old mentor siding with her. Or a twist. An internal betrayal from someone she thought was loyal. He didn't offer anything in return, just a pause, and then a slow nod. That was enough. I exhaled and stood. My father built this company, I said, my voice steady. And I won't discredit that, but I took it further than he ever could have. I won't let him manipulate it from the outside. I let my tone drop, controlled, but dangerous. If he wants a fight, I continued, he'll get one. I gathered my papers, locking eyes with every executive in the room. If anyone here believes my father and brother should be in control, now is the time to speak. Silence. No one moved. Good. I turned and walked out, head held high. This wasn't just about keeping control. It was about making sure they never believed they could take it from me again. That night, I made my move. Not to a board member, not to an investor, to the media. By morning, the headline was everywhere. Power shift at Harper & Co. Lisa Harper outmaneuvers family in boardroom. Showdown. The response was immediate. My inbox lit up with messages. Journalists, investors, board members. Some were supportive. Others were cautious. But most had one question. Is it true? I didn't answer. I knew the game my father was playing. He'd spent his life mastering the art of perception. If he couldn't win in the boardroom, he'd try to destroy me in the public eye. By noon, his counterattack landed. A press release, elegant, subtle, and full of lies. Harper & Co. has always been a family-run business. We are saddened by recent developments but remain committed to the values that built this company. Leadership transitions are inevitable, and we hope to move forward smoothly. Beneath the surface, the message was clear. Lisa is reckless. Lisa is unstable. Lisa can't be trusted. I wasn't surprised, but I was furious. As industry analysts debated my leadership on the news, was she too aggressive? Could she recover? I sat in my office, already planning my next move. I didn't call a press conference. I didn't issue a statement. I made one call. An old friend. Investigative journalism. I have something for you, I said, but you'll have to move fast. An hour later, I sent over everything. Internal documents, emails, financial reports, evidence of the mess my father had left behind. Debt, mismanagement, cover-ups. The things I had quietly cleaned up over the past decade. The story broke within. 24 hours, behind the curtain at Harper & Co., a legacy of hidden debts and mismanagement. It was brutal. It praised my leadership. It exposed his failures. And most importantly, it proved the truth. I was the reason this company had survived. Everything changed. The board stopped doubting. The investors stopped hesitating. And my father, he had nowhere to hide. 2 days later, he called. I let it ring 3 times before answering. "Lisa," he said, his voice tight, "we need to talk." I leaned back. "Do we?" A pause. A sigh. "You didn't have to do that." I laughed. "Neither did you." "This company was supposed to be a legacy," he said. "For the family, for you and Ethan." A part of me once wanted that too, but that part of me was gone. "If you wanted me to protect the legacy," I said quietly, "you should have trusted me with it." Silence. Then finally he asked, "What happens now?" I exhaled. Now I make sure no one ever touches this company again. The war was over. My father had lost. Ethan had disappeared. And I had won. But there was no satisfaction, no victory high, just silence. I had spent 12 years building Harper & Co., protecting it, making it stronger. But in winning, I had lost something else. My family. The next day, I walked into the office like nothing had changed. But everything had. The whispers were gone. The doubt had faded. I wasn't just Lisa Harper's CEO. I was the woman who outmaneuvered her father and brother and came out on top. Some respected me for it, some feared me, and some still waited for me to fall. I let them wait. At noon, I met my father in the conference room for the final time. He looked older, smaller, as if the weight of everything had finally caught up. "I'm retiring," he said, effective immediately. I didn't react. I already knew. "I'll sell most of my shares. Keep a small percentage as an investor. I'm done." "And Ethan?" I asked. "He's gone," he admitted. "Took the buyout. He won't be back." I had expected it. Ethan was never built for battle. The second he lost, he did what he always did. Ran. It still stung, hearing it aloud. Not regret, not guilt, just finality. I nodded. Understood. My father rubbed his temple. Then, after a pause, he said what I never thought I'd hear. "I underestimated you." It wasn't an apology, but it was enough, and strangely, I no longer needed anything more. A month later, Harper & Co. was reborn. The old board, gone. The doubters, replaced. The company, finally mine. With full control came new vision. I launched initiatives he once rejected, modernized systems he called unnecessary, expanded into industries he feared. Within 6 months, profits soared. Within a year, we passed $100 million in revenue. And for the first time, I wasn't fighting to prove myself. I was building something no one could take away. A year after it all ended, I met my father for dinner. It was our first conversation since his retirement. "I read about the latest deal," he said. "Smart move." I smiled. "I know." He raised his glass. "To Harper & Co.," he said. This time, when I clinked mine against his, I didn't feel anger or resentment, just peace. Because I had already won, and I didn't need his approval anymore. Today I sit in my office overlooking the city I helped shape, and I remember the lessons this war taught me. Family can be your greatest threat. Loyalty is earned, not owed. Power is never given, it's taken. And most importantly, the only way to prove your worth is to stop asking for permission. Build something so strong they can't ignore you. I have no regrets. Harper & Co. is mine now. and I intend to make sure no one ever forgets it.